Well, you've raised millions and millions in private money. What are some of the secrets or strategies that you've used that turns a one-time private lender into repeat lenders wanting to give you more money to invest and want to keep, funding more deals?
Yeah, I would say consistency and being very honest, like not being afraid to. What I can tell you is if somebody tells me that that everything's okay and nothing ever goes wrong, it kind of puts up a meter, like where I'm like, there's something going wrong, and they're not telling me what the problem is. I think like communicating with them regularly and not daily, but at the same time when you do talk to them, just like, oh, this is what happens, and just communicating regularly. That's been the one thing. um Explaining the vision, still always having the goal of like where you're going with it has been a big one. Even if the deal is kind of going sideways, which has happened, it says, okay, well, what did we buy this property for? We bought this piece of real estate in a good location. It's going to be good cash flow, and we're going to, uh, we're going to continuously improve it over time. We're offering affordable housing, and what does that affordable housing do? It gives people clean, safe, functional places to live, and you're going back to the core reason of why you buy mobile home parks. Mobile home parks, yeah, they do have good cash flow, but they also have the portion of affordability. You're buying or what we buy is pretty rough assets, and we're bringing them back to life for people to live in safely and comfortably in a clean home. So that's our main objective.
Sure, sure. So, regarding the mobile home parks, have you used private money to buy mobile home parks, or most of the time is it owner financing or seller financing with a carryback?
Yeah, I would say that if you're not going to be doing, unless you get to the larger mobile homes, but then it becomes very expensive, which we don't buy those. We buy the very smaller unit counts, 10 to 50 units. Private financing is the number one way to do it. You can't do it without private. I think um, we probably have about 20 million in loans, and I would say about 15 million of it is private lending. And the same story with those private lenders. The first lien lenders, those are guys that write the bigger checks for us. They're very familiar with real estate. It's not like they just started showing up and wanting to give us the money. So we talk about our deals regularly, and we had like we've had this one experience where a mobile home park. We finally got through it, but through Hurricane Helene, um, the mobile home park went 8 feet underwater for 3 weeks
Oh, wow.
and didn't go back down. And terrible. It was, we'd have like a park manager, and I would tell her, "Did you go to the park today?" And she's like, "Oh, I went there yesterday, and it was still at the same level." I was like, "Well, then go there today to tell me that it's 6 inches lower." Like,
All right.
just tell me something's happening different. And but we had to communicate with the lender. Like, it's not like we could tell the lender that the park was fine. It's underwater right now, so we're working through it and paying the mortgage payments, and we're back to stabilize. We had it. It was down to zero revenue for 3 to 6 months, and now we're at
Mm,
10,000 revenue. So that was something that had to happen. But communicating with the lender is how they continuously, like, they remember the time that you had a bad experience,
mm-hmm.
continue to pay them, and you communicated with them. I didn't go in the dark. I didn't like stop answering his phone calls. I was calling him to tell him, hey, this is what's going on. Send him an email, get some pictures of updates after the park, after the water receded. Even create good balance, financials to be able to show them. And I don't know if single family home has to be that detailed, but with something like this, it's something that it's like you have to shine when times are not as good. You know, when times are not good, you're like, okay, well, let me show you how I'm going to handle this, because that's the question that every investor has, is what's going to happen when things are going sideways? Are you going to
Hmm.
stand by taking care of the money, or are you going to run the other direction and leave them high and dry, you know, or the
Hmm.
opposite, underwater, 8 feet underwater?
Right.
So yeah, it was a learning experience, and but we you still have to communicate. The biggest thing is communication with your investors.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more, particularly when it comes down to, the communication, keeping them informed as to what's going on. So you briefly mentioned it, but I'd like to dive into it a little bit. How is it that you structure your deals so that they are a win for your private lenders and profitable for you as well?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, it could be numerous things. The way that I was able to lead my W-2 job, I came from property management background, because I left Red Lobster and then I went into property management for 10 years. But what I ended up doing is creating a property management company to manage it. And then there's there's a multiple ways of doing it, but for us was there's fee structure, and it's really just being honest with like what the fees are, and you have to communicate that with your investors. It's not like a secret, because these are equity investors. Some of them are first lien investors, some of them are second lien. They don't care too much about the fees, but when it comes to limited partners, you have to kind of spell out what those fees are and not be afraid of them, because it's like if you have to be transparent, and also um, it's the reality. It's like, okay, so if there's a construction management fee, we charge about 7%. What's the budget on the construction management? And that, where does that cap off? So it's like, is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? Is that, and then that's how much I spend on the property. And I plan on managing $500,000 worth of construction, which is 7% of that. So that could be a way to manage the asset along the side. And when you explain it that way, they understand. Like, if you're managing $500,000 worth of construction, it's not going to be a passive job. You have to have somebody out there to manage it. So that's how we you know we will make a little bit of money from limited partner investing. They also take the downside. There could be a stop of payments for if there's any kind of problems of the reserves go below the balance, or the idea of reserves where you want to be. But with those promissory note investors, those are the people that you pay no matter what. You don't really have to. You might give them a little bit of information. Those are more of like an annual report that I give them for the promissory note, because that's what they invested in. That's what they want. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about toilets. They don't. The promissory note investors are it's a check. They'll let you know if they don't get paid on the 15th. They'll send you a message. Hey, I didn't get mine. And you forget to hit the send button on your software. So you have, oh my gosh. So you go back and you're like, I'm sorry, I missed the button. I've had that happen one time, and they let you know. But there's a different type of investor. First lien, don't really have to give too much information. Second lien, maybe like an annual report of what's going on, and then equity quarterly.
Well, Glenn, you have clearly figured this thing out. And as you mentioned,
No, I have not.
as you mentioned, it always hasn't been smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's pull out some lessons here that our listeners can actually use right now. So, looking back, since you started raising private money until today, what are one or two of the biggest mistakes that you made early on when you started raising capital? Or what did you learn that you could do better?
Miscommunication. That's the biggest thing. I could tell you that the number one thing with all investors is communication. I could tell you that there was a time when we're in because of the mobile homes, we didn't understand that it's very hard to refinance a mobile home park with mobile homes on the balance sheet. You're trying to sell the mobile homes off. And we were told by a bank that it was better that we just buy the partners out to refinance because we weren't big enough owners on the property.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like the owners or the equity owners were like, well, why are you buying us out? Well, we didn't want to sell. It's like, well, the bank's telling us that we have to do this. And it's like, that wasn't the plan when we gave you the money, So it was like, so then you go back and you're trying to figure out the best way, and you're making yourself look bad because you told them that you're next to them, you're working hand in hand with the limited partner, and you benefit when they benefit. But now you're saying that you're going to buy them out when it's like, we never communicated that that's what our plan was. If that's the plan, you should tell them that in the front end. Like, hey, my goal is to double your money or get you to this number, and then I plan on refinancing and paying you off. That would be the answer. And you have to tell them that. If you don't tell them that, then you're not communicating clearly. And that was my mistake on that, is like, that wasn't even our intention when we started, but we thought it was the answer, but we found that we have to sell the mobile homes to be able to get a good refinance is really the short story. But
sure. Well, Glenn, if someone's listening and they want to raise their first $500,000, say in the next 90 days, what are their first action steps that they need to take right now to start attracting that private money?
I love your book that you wrote. I don't know what it's called, but I've read it.
Where to Get the Money Now.
Yeah, I've read that. And I would say that talking to people looking to invest, figuring out what they're looking for might be different than what you're looking for, is what I would say. And the other thing I would also add is just don't make it complicated. You got to be straight. I have gone the route of complicated pitches, and when it's complicated and people don't understand, they don't want to give you the money. So it's very easy to say, with the good thing with debt is it's straightforward. How do you make it structured, and how is it safe for the investor? If you go into like a different level of misunderstanding that they don't understand, they're not going to give you the money, is really the answer. If they're confused, they're not doing it. Just don't expect it. A confused
mind does not take action.
Exactly.
Well, since you mentioned my book, for those listening, you can pick up a free copy of my book, Where to Get the Money Now, just cover shipping and handling, at www.jayconner.com/book. That's JAYCONNER.com/book. Well, Glenn, this has been pure gold. The experiences and stories you've been able to share. You've shown that raising private money is not about luck. It's about trust. It's about systems. And it's about doing the work. Glenn, thank you so much for breaking all this down. And how can people get in contact with you and continue the conversation with you?
I have two places. Where my podcast is the Millionaire Journey podcast. We have lots of real estate operators on there. They're usually a little bit higher than me level wise. So I like to find people that are doing more than me to learn from. That's why I get them on my podcast. And then I also am on LinkedIn, which is Glenn Yaney on LinkedIn.
Nice. Glenn, thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, thank you.
Well, folks, let's be real. Most investors think raising private money is about asking. But what I do and what Glenn has showed us, it's not about asking, it's about attracting, offering an opportunity instead of pitching. It's about building trust. And Glenn said it 100 times, communicating clearly, and creating deals that make sense for everyone involved. That's how you go from chasing money to having money chase you. Focus on getting the money lined up first. There's always going to be deals. So if you've been waiting for the right time to raise private money, stop waiting. Start applying what you just heard today, because the truth is, money is not the problem. In fact, there's more money than there is deals. It's belief and action that may be holding you back. Thank you for joining me here on the show, Raising Private Money with Jay Conner. I'm the Private Money Authority, and I really appreciate likes and shares. Think of one person in your world that this episode would make a difference for, and please share it with them. If you're listening on the iTunes platforms, etc., be sure to follow me. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.
Great job, you guys.